Wait, referring to live stream for a while.
It's live.
Wait, no. Yep, we're live now.
Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. And I'm pleased to share the results of the motion 54. 10 full members voting for bill with 1 spot vote. With that, this motion has passed. That means that Bill has been nominated to be the chairperson of the IPSF APRO Regional Office for the year 2020-2023. You will be joining the General Assembly as the nominee for in the elections to be part of the executive committee before your confirmation. But congratulations on the nomination. Nevertheless, please say a few words.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor, and thank you, everyone, for having the courage, of giving me the opportunity to prove myself as the IPSF APRO chairperson for next mandate. So I'll be doing my best to make sure that we get to have a mandate wherein we move forward through synergy and collaboration with no one left behind. Again, thank you guys, and thank you, everyone.
I think the chair might be having a technical.
Sorry,
yes,
hi. I was muted for the whole. Sorry, hi. Can we go to okay. Can we go to motion 55? Do we have motion 55? Thank you. Okay, so the next, before I open the next motion, I would like to ask the assembly if you guys would like to do a roll call of the members. And I also would like to, before I do that, sorry, I'd like to remind all the full members, if you are a single candidate, single delegate from your association representing your full member and your voting rights, once you have left the assembly due to whichever reason, technical, voluntarily leaving, or being dropped off during closed discussion, open discussion, if you are the only delegate, unfortunately, your voting right will be revoked or be suspended until the next roll call. So unfortunately, that means that PBHSF Pakistan, your voting rights has been suspended to enter the next roll call because of the technical earlier. So so at this point, I would like to ask the assembly if you would like to do a roll call now. Okay. Do we have, this is going to be a procedure motion. Do we have any proposal seconder? Proposed by Isma Fasi Indonesia, seconded by FJC PPHA Philippines. Can I get the full members? If you are for doing a roll call, please roll call right now. Please put a Y in the chat box. If you're against doing a roll call right now, please put an N in the chat box for full members. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, with simple majority, this motion has passed. Can I invite Regional Secretary Suin to conduct the roll call? Thank you, Suin.
Thank you, Chair, for the floor. This is Suin, IPSF APRO Secretary. NAPS Australia, MAPS India, Isma Fasi Indonesia, APS Japan, MyPSA Malaysia, NZIPSO New Zealand, PPHSF Pakistan, FJC PPHA Philippines, NEPS Republic of Korea, NUSPS Singapore, PSET Thailand, TDTU Pure Vietnam. Yeah, can I just remind the member and association to not vote until your name is called, please. Okay, we have all 4 members in attendance.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue. With that, I would like to move on to motion 55. This is the 24th IPSF Asia Pacific Regional Assembly elects the following candidates as the Secretary of IPSF Asia Pacific Regional Office for the year 2022 to 2023. For this, we have 1 candidate for the first round. And I'll be briefly sharing the screen of her nomination form before her 3-minute speech. Yeah, so here we go. Okay, hope you have seen that. And with that, Amy, are you here?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, okay. With that, your 3-minute speech starts. You can have your 3-minute speech whenever you are ready, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon and good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Elizabeth Hashimoto Kramer. I am a 3rd-year pharmacy student from NZAPSO New Zealand, and I will be running for the IPSF APRO Regional Secretary for the 2022 to 23 mandate. Since joining IPSF at the start of 2021, I've been incredibly fascinated by their work in advocacy for pharmacy students and have found many opportunities to explore and develop my own passion for pharmacy. For this reason, I applied and am now currently serving as a member of the Regional Secretary Subcommittee, working directly under our current Secretary, Silan. As a member of the subcommittee, I've experienced organising meeting agendas and minutes, proofreading documents, publishing policy writings, as well as assisting with this online RA as a scrutineer and meeting secretary. I was also a participant in this year's IPSF APRO Leaders in Training Program, where my major role was that of a secretary. This allowed me to experience the workflow of this position in an environment that closely mimics that of IPSF APRO. I have decided to apply for the APRO Regional Secretary as I believe I have the skills and experience that qualify me for this role. I have strong written and verbal English communication skills, as it is my first language, which also gives me confidence when it comes to public speaking. I'm also confident in my organizational and administration skills, as I've been involved in various student leadership positions, most notably being the Vice President of the OJSA, one of the largest cultural student associations at our university. I also believe I have good time management skills, as I am able to balance my extracurricular duties, such as OJSA, alongside IPSF APRO, my volunteer work, and my studies. As outlined in my nomination form, I have 3 main goals I hope to achieve during this mandate. Firstly, to expand the role of the Regional Secretary Subcommittee by involving them in our projects and having larger roles in other areas such as the Regional Assembly. Secondly, is to advance advocacy through policy writing by continuing the inter-regional policy writings and starting a new initiative by collaborating with external partners or organisations to produce policy writings that reach a wider audience. And lastly is to prepare for an offline mandate. As the COVID-19 pandemic starts to die down and border restrictions loosen, it is of high importance that we are able to meet in person to encourage further involvement of students and a stronger unity. The 25th Regional Assembly, for example, will thus require thorough preparation, which will be achieved by preparing adequate training sessions and materials for all participants involved before and during the Regional Assembly to ensure we have a smooth transition as we go from online to offline. I hope I've been able to convey my motivation and my qualifications I believe I have for this role. I sincerely thank you all for listening, and I'm now open for questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Amy. With that, I would like to open the floor for discussion. If you have any new comments, please submit them to the speaker list. Once again, addressing to the assembly, if you have any questions, please address for open discussion. Please put your questions in the speaker list. Okay, we do have Paul Darrow. I'm sorry, Paul. Paul Darrow O. Meneses, IPSF Chairperson External Relations. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Chair. This is Paul, Chairperson of External Relations from Exco. Thank you to, oh, I forgot the name of the nominee. Thank you very much for your nomination. I would like to kindly ask specifically on the external partners that you are planning to like collaborate with the policy that you are planning for the next mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I would like to pass the floor to Amy. Amy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Paul, for your question. So with the external partners, we will try and do collaborations with external partners that we already have with IPSF APRO. And also we are thinking of other student organizations such as IFMSA, I forget the code name, acronyms, but of like other health professional student associations. This is just to ensure that we get a wider audience for our specific policy writings so that it reaches a wider audience and has a greater impact. So yes, thank you for your question.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Yes, Patricia, Heidi.
Hi, sorry. I think thank you, Chair. This is Heidi from BMFUI. I think the form is not working because I submitted earlier and it's not shown. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay, we are here. Thank you. For that speaker list, the next speaker is Ms. Patricia Heidi from BFF Indonesia. The floor is yours.
Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for becoming a nominee. I would like to ask regarding.
Sorry, Heidi, I have to reinforce the standing order. State your name, association before you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Chair. This is Heidi from BMFUI. Hi, Amy. I would like to ask regarding what you wrote in your nomination form previously, is that you want to increase more active roles from your subcommittee. So I would like to ask you to elaborate more on how you plan to increase the activeness of your subcommittee members. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to pass the floor to Amy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Heidi, for that question. So one of the big plans I have for trying to involve the Secretary Subcommittee is particularly involving them in the advocacy competition, specifically because it aligns with one of their duties as the Regional Secretary Subcommittee member is to produce policy writings. So I believe their experience and skills from that will be useful in the advocacy competition. I also believe they can be, so that will be one prominent role they'll have. I believe I will also try to involve them in other projects. So I will be cooperating, working alongside RPO, RRO, the rest of the RWG to ensure that they can have an active role in a certain project that suits them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy, for that. Next up, I would like to invite I'll invite Ms. Kimmy Observer.
All right, thank you, TK, and thank you, Amy, for nominate yourself as a secretary. Nice to meet you again. My question is like, I think there is a one of the things that we might have a problem since previous years and comes to be a current problems as well from my observe as Kimmy honorary life member. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. So that I would like to know how you, as a secretary, how you would like to introduce a system or maybe some simple ways for the CP or CO to submit their reports, like how you could help them to, because the reports, the number of reports and quality of the reports would be a beneficial for APRO to, as a, like, you know, our database, or maybe something that we can present to the stakeholders, and also as an IPSF database as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimmy H.L.M. for the question. Pass the floor to Amy.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Kimmy, for that question. So, sorry, if I just might ask to clarify, did you mean for CPs to submit their reports as in for the regional assembly? So I just want to make sure I understand the question.
Activity reports.
Okay. So I think I will be working with the current secretary to see how the current activity reports are submitted so far, as I have not had much experience in that so far, but I believe I can work together with Secretary Sillen and also receive feedback from our current CPs to see how they do, what they think on the state of how they're submitting their activity reports, and find ways to improve that system. So thank you very much for your question.
Thank you. I'll next would like to pass the floor to Mr. Franz Matthew F. Tagdaran from UFA Philippines. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Chair. First of all, thank you, Chair. And I'm Matthew from UFA Philippines. So I was wondering, what if you, I mean, I think we can already assume that we do have a lot of members who aren't necessarily fluent in English, but are very much capable of creating policies. So how do you plan to act upon this issue if you were to be elected as a secretary? That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew, for your question. Amy, you have 1 minute. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Matthew, for that question. So I would work with the CPs or the member organisations to try and host policy writing workshops. I believe Sillen created or initiated one with Malaysia this year, and I believe that must a great initiative, and I hope to encourage more CPs and member organisations to have those workshops or trying to initiate those workshops, and I would love to work alongside them to really bring those into action, and that way we can try and utilize their language, so then it's not solely reliant on English, as it will be more focused in their own region. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Amy. Can I get the speaker list to be clear, please? Yeah, one more, clear one more. Okay, next, I would like to pass the floor to Andini. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I'm Andini from City Commission of Arts Indonesia. I would just like to ask for you to elaborate more your point on your nomination form. You mentioned you would like to further develop the policy training materials, certificate, and advocacy competition. We'd just like you to elaborate more on which points do you would like to further develop and how you would develop it.
Thank you. Andini, before I pass the floor to Amy, can I get I didn't manage to catch the question entirely. Can I get you to repeat the question? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just like to clarify my question. So it's regarding on your one of your goals to develop more on the advocacy, whether it is a starter kit, the competition, and just like you to elaborate more on what points of those things that you would like to develop further.
Okay, thank you. I would like to pass the floor to Amy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ardini, for your question. So when I say further develop, I mean, I'm trying to look for where I can possibly improve on what Suan has already done. So Suan's done, I believe, a great, amazing job of really advancing or strengthening advocacy this year. However, I do remember participating as a LIT participant, and one of our mini tasks was writing policies. So what I'd look at how, say, where people may have sort of not clearly understood, or look at where we could have improved on in those policy writings, and also through the advocacy competition submissions to find ways on which points could be clearer in the starter kit and the training materials, in order to really get the message across and be clear as possible on how to write policy writing. So thank you for your question.
Thank you, Amy. I would like to pass the floor to Kimi, observer, for the next.
Thank you, TK. Kimi, honorary life member. So I got another questions that I would like to ask Amy, because actually Amy has mentioned that she already worked in APRO as a subcommittees, right? However, there is another, as an RWG, actually, I think we need to diverse our perspective in every portfolios as a team. So I would like you to rate yourself out of 10, like how much you give yourself, and where is which are the room for you to develop the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimi. Amy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kimi. Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I just would like to clarify. Do you mean how I rate myself and how I am as a secretary subcommittee member so far?
How to rate yourself out of 10 about your perspective as a whole APRO, actually, to become RWG. Yeah, thank you.
Can I just speak ahead, TK?
Yes, please, the floor is yours.
Cool, awesome. Thank you, Kimi. So I'd probably say between a 7 and 8. I obviously don't really have as much experience as some of the other RWG members or nominees, since I only started at the start of 2021. But as I pointed out in my speech, I have been heavily involved in IPSF APRO since I joined. I have attended the previous APPS last year and will attend this year, and I was lucky enough to be an official delegate for last year's APPS, despite only having recently joined. I also was a participant in the LIT program, and through that I was able to really develop a good understanding in general of IPSF APRO. I've also briefly read through some of the official documents as well to understand the process, the standing orders, constitution of how IPSF APRO works. So obviously there's still more I can learn, and I would rely on my other RWG, and but I do believe I have a good understanding so far based on what I've already experienced. So thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Right now, I'd like to pass the floor to Kishan Kunalan, IPSF Treasurer.
Sorry, TK, I think I've gotten an answer from her previous answer, so I would like to drop my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Kishan. I'd like to pass the floor to Paul Darrell Meneses from IPSF Chairperson of External Relations. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Chair. This is Paul, Chairperson of External Relations. Just in relation back to the my previous question for Amy is, what specific potential topics for example, like policy statements or document do you envision to create with external parties such as healthcare student organizations or professional organizations during your mandate as APRO Secretary? Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I would like to pass the floor to Amy. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Paul, for your question. So with some of the collaborations I'm envisioning for our policy writings, particularly with, say, the IFMSA, if we do a partnership with them for collaboration, I believe it would be good to talk about the interprofessional collaboration between pharmacy students and medical students, or pharmacists and doctors, just in their profession and how they can effectively work together in different areas. Also for external partners, I think it would be important to focus on some prominent public health issues or professional development issues that are prominent in our current presently. So that could be potentially how we come, like pharmacists emerging out of this post-pandemic phase, and other certain like public health issues that we face. So yes, it will be dependent on, I think, on what is quite I guess prevalent in the world at that time, but also yeah, based on our own experience as well. So yeah, cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
I think the chair is just having a slight technical, so we'll give him a few moments to just recover.
Okay, hello. Okay, I'm here. We just wait for a few more minutes. Not a few more minutes, a few more seconds for on the ground for if there's anyone who wish to speak on this motion. Do we have? Okay. I see that there's no other new comments for this motion, and with that, I would like to proceed to close the open discussion and proceed to close discussion. So